Steven Anderson is actually a new Hive. You're a Hive user, just signed up maybe
Yes.
30 days ago.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
less?
maybe. I think it's less.
Less, 30 days
Yeah.
ago. But we have the studio. Might as well make something happen. He's been doing real estate for a long time, so I'm like, he's like, I want to do something about the about Hive Mind. I'm like, no, don't worry about that. Let's just do real estate first.
Yeah.
We'll cover that other stuff later on.
Yeah.
It's all good. There's plenty of time and opportunity to do this stuff. And you've been doing real estate for a long time, so this is actually like the second time we've talked. So
Yeah.
this is gonna be good. This is gonna be good. This is new for me too. New for him. So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about your background. Where you what you did. I always like asking this question because a lot of people come from different backgrounds. So for me,
Sure.
I was a previous truck driver, so I can resonate with the truck driving community. My
Sure.
partner was a construction worker, contractor. So what have you done in the past? Kind of when did you start entrepreneurship? How long have you been doing real estate? Kind of jump down that rabbit hole.
Got it. Well, I'll be quick because that starts a long time ago. Because I've been working since I was 10 years old, dude.
Oh, there you go.
Oh yeah. So we were landscaping and all that stuff when we were super young. That's where I got the appetite for quick cash. That's for sure. So, anyways, I started really getting into. I've had a lot of different backgrounds for work, right? I've done a lot of things. Do you remember MCI?
I'm young.
MCI. Oh yeah. Well. So when long distance phone calling came out, right, on home phones.
Okay.
It used to be really expensive, right? So
Okay.
it was charging per minute.
Yeah. I
Right. It
remember
was
that.
nuts. And MCI was one of the companies that was a phone company, phone
Okay.
system company. So I worked for them for a while, and that's where I got my sales background started, right? So they had an aggressive sales training program. It was pretty intense. But I ended up working there, and I was doing really well, did extremely well there. So I was like top 10 in the region, and back then MCI was pretty big,
Yeah.
right? So I did that sales wise, and I ended up training there as well. So I ended up doing their training program for a while after I got my teeth sunk in.
Yeah.
But anyways, that was actually my first view at a corporate acquisition because Verizon purchased MCI
Okay.
and fired everybody.
Wow.
Right? So after that happened, I was like, well, what am I going to do now? Right? Because I was making good money. I was maybe 16 years old, right? But I was pulling in some good cash. So I was like, what am I going to do now? Like, what's next, right? So then I went down this rabbit hole and I started, being an entrepreneur. So I've had some cool gigs. I was a tattoo artist for a while. I did that for a few years. But then as soon as because I lived in Arizona for a while, I moved out to Arizona. I got hooked for the cheap gas and, the bigger houses and
Tax incentive.
yeah. So I got hooked. Lived out there for a while. And when I got back to Cali, I started working at a brewery.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, so I changed it up because I needed something different. So I started working at a brewery in San Diego called Ballast Point. And that was in like circa 2008, something like that. And I was there for over a decade, right?
Wow.
Yeah, I became a director of brewing and barrel aging operations and all that kind of stuff. And I was there for a long time. And then what happened was my second corporate acquisition where Constellation had purchased the company and completely stripped the car and sold it. So I was a high-priced target because of my program, right? Barrel aging is not quick, so you store a lot of money and you don't see it for a while because it has to age in barrels.
Yeah.
So anyways, fast forward, we all got laid off from there. And then I was like back to square one. I was like, what am I going to do, right? So then I started another company, but it was Oak Brokerage. I was brokering oak barrels around the world. And that was nice. I mean, I was working maybe 6 hours a week, and it was beautiful. I was making 4 times, 5 times the money that I was making at the brewery, and physically working 5 hours a week.
Wow.
So I was having a great fucking time. But the problem was that the longer the time went on, I was like, man, okay. I started learning a little bit more about other types of businesses, and this was built out of defense.
Yep.
Right? So it's not for long-term sustainable. Am I going to retire selling barrels? No. Right? So this isn't going to last forever. The money's great right now, but what am I going to do, right, in the long run, right? When I get old, how are we going to take care of this stuff? So that's, fast forward, I started like really just diving in. I just went on the computer and I typed in, hey, how can I make $5,000 today, right? And just let me see what happens.
Yeah.
And that's where I started running into the rabbit hole of basically real estate investing. Well, assignments, right?
Yep.
And then that's really, and like everybody else, right? You find assignments first, and you're like, what is going on here, right? Is this real?
Yeah.
And then you start going down the rabbit hole. And that's how I got into real estate investing.
So I really, that's a crazy story. That's a crazy story. So
Thank you.
tattoo artist to
Landscaper,
Landscaper.
caterer, tattoo artist. Yeah.
But and this is the beauty of that. When did you find real estate? How old are you?
Well, so I'm relatively young, right? I mean, I'm in my early 30s. Okay. So
I'm 29.
yeah, okay, yeah, we're around the same age. I'm about to turn 34. So I found before we were incorporated, relatively new. I mean, maybe about 4 years ago is when I found real estate investing. So nothing too crazy. And then incorporated wise, just 2 years.
Yeah.
Right.
So something I was going to mention, since this is like a business / real estate podcast, corporate can be a B.
Yeah.
It can be a B. So
Yeah.
I always laugh because I see, and now that I'm in business, I see corporate as like, man, corporate it's a good thing, but it's dangerous. It's dangerous from when you're an employee, but it's a good thing from when you're, because now you have both perspectives. You have the perspective of the boss and like, hey, if I'm buying this, I need to make this as efficient as possible. Everybody's out the door.
Yeah.
Because now you do it with properties now.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm gonna get this whole thing. We're gonna restart from scratch, redo the electrical. We're gonna make this the best thing it could be.
Or can we just get away with a quick 20K?
Exactly.
You know, like can we just?
It's different perspectives now.
Yeah.
But then as your employee, like I got opportunities to get advanced as an employee through corporate. And I'm like, there's an underlying corporate thing going on here. I don't know.
Sure.
I don't want to be a part of this.
I think it's tough, right? Because I see all sides of the ball. Even when I was in those environments, and craft beer in the mid 2000s, and before, was a rad place to be.
Yeah.
It was peace and love, man. Drink some beer and have a good time, right? It was amazing.
And corporate comes in and ruins it.
You know what? Well, you know what? Is you need growth, right?
Yeah.
And you have to have that structure because you got a bunch of degenerates that drink beer all day, that are cruising around having fun. You got to contain all that, right? Yeah. And so it was necessary, but just the way they went about it was a little weak. They didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
Right. So I won't get too far into that because
that's
pretty sticky waters, but.
Corporate comes in and they restructure and revamp and make profits important.
It could be a good thing. I like the
thing.
structure.
Yeah.
I like the structure. That's one thing I did learn doing all this is that the corporate structure is amazing.
It is.
If you can lock that down and you can own that and still keep your culture, oh my God, you're gonna kill it.
So that's I'm gonna lead into that. So now that you've been in corporate, you've been under the thumb of corporate, and you didn't like being under the thumb, but now you know what not to do, and it kind of brings into your business now as a business owner because now you can bring in the good side of corporate and kind of not do the bad side of corporate because corporate can be a lot of politics.
Sure.
But when you breed good culture, which I think corporate struggles with that, as the larger they get, they struggle with culture. Is now you can kind of build your culture up from the beginning, and it's your business, and it's not somebody else's.
Sure. I think it's an inevitable point though, when you get big enough. And granted, right? So the name of my real estate investment firm is Sammy REI. Okay. Sammy, right?
Yeah.
And I think that, and granted for us, we're still super small.
Yeah.
Right. And hence coming into HiveMind, and seeing that was the whole thing was what we were looking for is how to automate more, how to build more of a system. And a lot of the systems that we are currently using are phasing away from now don't have that opportunity, right? But I think inevitably you get to a point where you got so many freaking people, man, it does become a lot more political, and you have to have some type of corporate feel to it to structure that out because people are the problem most of the time,
so
right?
We're in the midst of doing that because we can't, and it's phases. Phase one is just the growing stage. You kind of take everything on the chin and keep it moving. But now, as we're getting bigger, we have to institutionalize more things to make it more corporateized. That way, things stay in line and things can progress. And that was the thing. It was outside looking in. Okay, now we need a structure. So now we're structuring and creating more processes, more streamlined capabilities, just to make sure everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. Because now, as you can't let people run around.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I mean, even the smallest thing, like, letting people go,
Yeah.
right? If, I've been a business owner to where I've, when I fire people, it's like, or let people go, it's like, hey, I've been that guy at one point in time in my life that's like, yo, get the fuck out of here. I've been the guy that's like, hey, this is your last day. And then I've been a part of the corporate structure now to where it's like, if you don't do and follow the steps correctly, you're in trouble. You can get into a lawsuit on how you let these people go. So, like for instance, you got people that are hiring VAs left and right and firing VAs left and right. And granted, that's a little area that I'm not proficient in the sense of letting VAs go, right?
Yeah.
I've only had to let one VA go and it sucked, I believe in the underdogs.
Yep.
And that's the hard part for me when having a crew, right? But anyways, long story short is, you can fire somebody or let somebody go the wrong way. And if you have a big enough company, you're asking for a lawsuit, buddy. So how you let go of people too in a corporate structure changes also, right?
Yeah.
So like those are things to think of when you get a bigger team. That's why I was saying people are the problem, right?
Yeah.
Those are the ones that call out, people call out sick, not robots, right?
If I could automate it, it wouldn't be an issue.
Boom, right? That's why you get those people that come in. Dude, what's one of those bigger companies that have those machines now that come in and they flip pizzas or burgers, right?
Yep.
Those are a great thing and a good thing and a bad thing. Bad thing because you're basically telling the average worker to kick rocks. Right? Hey, we don't need you anymore, buddy. You're deleting a class of workers, right? But also for the business owner, you're like, hell yeah. Like that's genius, right? I just need somebody to flip burgers here, and a machine can do that. Just come in and do maintenance and have somebody maybe watch it. You're saving cost,
Yep.
right? So
Workman's comp, hours.
yeah, it's a robot. You don't have that, So yeah.
And so where we're at is you kind of have to space out because hiring is so important nowadays.
Yeah.
And hiring the wrong person could be detrimental.
It is.
Detrimental to your business because it can start breeding. It can breed the wrong culture. It can just breed. It can go down a negative path. So like, what is something you're doing as far as hiring the right people for the right seat?
We're learning, right? So like.
Good answer.
So and we're always learning, right? Because we've gone through, we're running through the VA train, and luckily enough, we got two right now that we love. And the first one we had to let go because of some time theft issues,
Yep.
just some slippery stuff. But as far as hiring goes, I am a big fan. It depends what they're doing, right? If they're making phone calls and depending on what country or where they're from or wherever they're at, that's a whole different ballpark. If they're only doing systems, then we look for different things. But that kind of varies, man. We're learning, right? And also, ultimately, I need somebody to be it's more of a trial basis I found that is good for me, right? I'll know right away, because I got a bunch of different hats that I wear just like a bunch of different people do, I bet. And when Steve's hat is in boss mode and you're hiring somebody or you're watching somebody, you're coaching somebody, I'm a fan of, hey, it won't happen again instead of I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Right? Because this whole thing there's a huge learning experience. And for the record, right, it's like for where we're at in our real estate journey, we've been blessed to be a part of a huge network and a bunch of good people to help us learn and move forward. But we are at that stage right now. I'd say the second stage up, which is right now we're trying to find what we need to do, our niche, and then learn how to implement that and grow, right? Also, for us, it's like the team's small, right? I don't have a big corporate back team right now. I mean, we're a team of 5, right? A team of 5. So where we can go from here is like we're essentially building the foundation, which, tapping back into Hive Mind, it's like we've learned that we're constantly adjusting.
Yep.
Right? And I feel like everyone I tell this, they're like, oh yeah, buddy, welcome to the show, right? You're constantly adjusting, whether it's that system or that system, how you're sending out messages, how you're sending out calls, how you're running down your questionnaires, what you need to ask them. And we're always adjusting. And don't get it wrong, I don't ever want that to change. We should always be improving.
Yep.
But right now we are in a race to figure out how to make these systems completely flow for us, because we're at a state right now where it's not about the ability to do it. It's not about the ability to find funding, the ability to close contracts and negotiate, talk with people. to run none of it. We are confident we got it, right? What we need now is more, right? You need to bring in more lead generation. You need to keep that stuff going.
Turn the faucet.
Yep, but right now we need that faucet flowing more,
Yeah.
so we can grow more, right?
Yeah.
And that's where we're at currently in our company, which is why I like talking. You know, when I like talking on these type of podcasts and talking about the stuff, because there's a bunch of people out there in the same spot as I am, which is right now you're just like, man, it's like we've already done this a bunch of times. We already know it's not an accident.
Yep.
This is not, what we can do is not an accident. We now know we can do it, right?
Yep.
So how do we turn that faucet on full? Just let it rip like a fire hose. That's what we're learning now. So HiveMind is something like, did you see that picture I sent out on the thread the other night? It's like that Always Sunny from Philadelphia guy, where he's got all his papers and there's all these lines showing, I want to go here, but that can bring me here, bring me here. And that's what HiveMind has me like. I'm like, oh my God, I could do so many different things with it to help automate.
Yep.
Right? Plus more than automation, I'm sure, but I don't want to cut it short. But
I've been telling people this all the time because I didn't know how automation would affect my life until I came into HiveMind myself. So now I'm preaching like automate before you delegate, because you might not need to delegate it at all. And now it comes back to the machine side of it, where once you automate it, it's good.
yeah,
It's gonna run.
yeah,
You ain't gotta worry about it.
Oh yeah, like we send out like right now. Our goal right is 2,000 SMS a day for the. Let's just talk about SMS department. Right?
Yep.
2,000 SMS a day, 2,000 texts a day. That's what we need to do. Right?
There you go.
And we have somebody sitting there every day, pounding out those 2,000 messages. Right. And what we started really finding was in our flaws was that, you know what, we load up data. If we load up fresh data, we're getting deals.
Yeah.
No doubt. There's fresh data, deals are going down. Right? We stopped loading fresh data. The response rates just go down so much. The drip campaigns weren't where we needed them to be. You know, that's where you start finding and scratching and saying, where can I find more money? Where can I find more leads, right?
Yeah, squeeze everything out of it.
Yeah, exactly. And then that's where you start finding the flaws in your system, or at least we did.
Yeah.
Right? So 2,000 SMS a day, and I'm sitting there and I'm counting and say, okay, hey, what are the percentages that she's spending just saying, you know, replying to not interested, replying to wrong numbers, replying to I call it the dummy filter.
Yeah.
Right? People that just have dumb responses that are not selling, or maybe they're not. Right? And filtering all those out, that percentage of work that she has to do, that can be automated. Right? So
Yeah.
so understanding how the drip systems work and where to flow and what needs to be manual, what needs to be not. That's where I've been just diving into the Hive. And I've been like, I don't know if you guys say this or not, it's probably not original, but every time my business partner calls me and I'm not answering the phone, I'm like, hey, I'm in the Hive. You know? And that means like, don't bother me. Right? I'm focusing. So yeah.
You're in the Hive.
Yeah, like I'm in the Hive, like I'm in the zone, I'm coding, like don't bother me. Right? I need to focus. You know?
This is so funny. Because a lot of people, when they first get into it and they realize what it is, they're like, I can't hold this thing.
What's going on? Thank you, sir.
yeah. That was the whole thing about it. Was that as soon as we met at that at the meetup that we were hosting, and you started telling me, you're like, oh, here's everything you can do. Here you can do this, can do this. I'm like, ah, man, what's that old school saying, right? Like, ah, man, if it's too good to be true, that probably means it is, right?
Yep.
And by the time we started really looking into it and evaluating all the things that we could do with it, I told my business partner, I'm like, hey, man, I think honestly it's, you know, we can have our demo call, but I think we have to try it no matter what. Right? We have to.
Yep, it's one of those things. I did not know what was possible till I started using every part of it. And now I'm like, now if I got tweaks, tweaks are made in a day. Mm-hmm. Boom. Hey, let's start doing this, and this, because I know what it's capable of. And now I'm like, I just see new opportunities to create automation. I'm like, now I'm operating at a high level. And now my team is too, because they understand it too. So now if my team understands it, I understand it. Now I just tell them to create, and it's just, everything flows.
It's perfect.
It's I try and explain this because a lot of people think business is hard, but once you get your people and your systems in place, it's it's a little easier.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's easy, but
Yeah, no, I get what you mean though, man, because especially since learning what we can do with the hive mind, and I'm a very visual person.
Yep.
So like, I don't know if you on the Zoom last night you saw what
I heard you.
I put up, but I'm drawing this out and I need to see it in front of me, right? So I'm drawing out the whole spider web of where we can go and what triggers need to trigger what, and I see nothing but potential in it, which is why I just can't wait to hurry up and get it built out because we need to get going.
I mean, you heard the guy yesterday. He said he got a $50,000 deal within 30 days using this stuff.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean is like people are the problem, right? You take away the people in that essence and you automate a lot of those things. It helps to make sure it keeps you on track, right? There's certain systems and I'm I don't need to call out which systems.
Yeah.
But there's certain systems that we're using now that I'm just like, it just doesn't make sense. Like we're having to go around the corner and down the block just to get a KPI. It's pretty ridiculous. So we're pretty ecstatic.
I'm ecstatic for you. So what I love about this is that now that you're enveloped in it, there's going to be success in the near future for you. And it's not that you're not successful, it's going to be a different level of success. And that's what I love to see. Yeah. I love to see that because we had a user last year. He was doing spreadsheets, and I don't know what I know he's definitely using spreadsheets and other products and services. He comes into HiveMind and goes, 50 deals, 300K in revenue in like 6 months.
Oh man.
So now I'm like, people that operated at a high level already, they just come into this, go, they get the hockey stick effect.
Sure. I like that. All right.
Exponential growth in a short time. And I love to see it because for me, this isn't really about me and collecting my $99 a month. It's more for you to make big money. That's the biggest thing. I mean, my $99 a month is a small dent to what you actually do with it to take it to the next level. And I think, and that's back to me providing. We're trying to provide so much value at a low price point we can reach the masses.
Absolutely, and I think there's a whole nother layer. There's more layers of that, right? I mean, even your affiliate program's pretty amazing. It's a no-brainer, man.
It's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer.
So let's talk real estate.
Yeah.
You said you've been in real estate for 4 to 5 years. 2 years since you incorporated.
Mm-hmm.
What has that journey been like since you started? Like, you do land, houses, you're doing flips now. Let's kind of talk about your journey.
Yeah, so I mean, originally single-family homes is the target, or was the target, still is. Single-family homes mostly. Land, we were able to do a couple land deals, but nothing too crazy. Don't get it wrong. If the numbers work, we'll take it, right? And we'll move it. And then we just started doing multifamilies, and now we're dabbling in learning for commercial, right? But when we first started, single families all the way, right? Yeah. And then now, the flip thing too. Wow. Flipping out here in Cali is crazy.
It is.
It's pretty nuts. And, we've had some pretty good learning experiences along the way. Especially this year. This last year has been nuts. But yeah, we're doing flips. Most definitely have our buy and hold, short-term and long-term. Airbnbs, a couple long-term doors. And then, obviously assigning, that's always great that's always great. But I think one of the biggest things was when we first started to now is understanding what we want out of it. And it sounds pretty stereotypical. That's usually tends to be, well, what are you trying to do, right? What do you see yourself in 5 years? And those questions, some of the most stereotypical questions are the most important. Yeah. Right? You hear them all the time. You're like, yeah, sure, man. I guess I want to be a millionaire in 5 years. But like, really, what do you want to do, right? What's the goal here? Yeah. The goal for Sammy and the goal for our lives is to obtain doors and cash flow. Be able to use appreciation, depreciation, however we see fit, right? Yep. And that's the goal, right? So I put them in 2 different categories, right? And a couple people have been making fun of me, for saying this, but this is the best analogy I have. Is that, are you a flash fryer or are you a slow cooker? Or are you both? Right? Because, usually you have your assignments, you have your flips, those are your flash fry. That's your quick money, right? Yep. You're cooking, you're done in a quicker amount of time. Yep. Your buy and holds are your slow cookers, right? That's the stuff you throw in the pot. And you just wait for it to build up and stew, right? So our buy and holds are there, right? And our flash fries there. Both are very important, right?
very important.
The flash fry enables us to get quick money and be able to use that to obtain more recipes for the slow cooker, right?
So I think a lot of wholesalers, they struggle with, they're just wholesalers, they don't actually keep. And I think the biggest way I think a lot of people need to switch is that you need to stop letting go of that money, because yes, you're getting quick money, but now you're getting long-term gains. And it's something as simple as getting a private capital to refinance out and keeping that property.
Sure.
So now, like everybody goes through it, and if no matter what stage you're at, it's okay. Everybody goes through their learning phase. Like, okay, I need to make some money, and now a switch happens. Okay, I got money's not a problem. Now we need to cash flow. I got to work every time I wholesale this property. That's a check. It goes out. It may cost me a certain amount of money to get that deal, but now there's no long-term income coming in from this. So now you got to flip the switch. Okay, how can I create cash flow to come in to sustain my marketing, maybe, or my bills, my expenses.
Yeah.
So now you gotta kind of find that balance, and everybody goes through it.
I call it survival mode.
Survival.
Right,
mode.
so you need to get out of survival mode.
There you go.
Survival mode is not living deal to deal, check to check.
Boom.
Right? As soon as you get out of that, then you can start focusing on the higher level bird's eye view stuff, which is creating your path for your cash flow, right? And then here's another thing too, right? It's like you have to have more tools in your bag.
Yep.
Right? So, if you practice, and granted, right, these are now terms that are thrown out there like nothing now, right? Creative finance, being able to utilize that genre in your tool belt, right? So, like, for instance, if you want to obtain more doors, but you can't take out any more money, or you can, whether it's private or hard, right?
You ruin your credit.
Right, or wherever you're at.
Or you hit that cap, or you hit the 10 units, and you can't get bank funded anymore.
Exactly, right? Or you're just at a point where you don't want to use any of your own money.
Yep.
If you got $1 million in the bank anymore, that's not really that much anymore, right? That's not even that's barely a house in San Diego.
Yep.
Right? Or in other places in the country, obviously too. But I'm from San Diego. Get out of survival mode. Stack up whatever money you need to do what you need to do, and build your business plan around that. And that's what we're doing, always, constantly doing. Right? So, like, us restructuring is a huge deal right now, because what happens when you restructure? Right? You're busy, you're flustered, you don't have any time anymore, and you're trying to build a new pipeline for yourself, right?
Yeah.
Just get out of survival mode is the biggest thing, and then learn that balance. Once you got a little bit of cash, and this is what we were investing in education before we were, consistently doing deals.
Yeah.
Joining different mentorships or masterminds, or, find yourself some people that you can, like, talk with, man. Because that plan doesn't have to be that difficult, right?
No.
I think, you just get out of survival mode, and then you start building the rest of your business.
So the previous interview I just did, it was talking about that a lot of people don't know their own flaws because they're in survival mode.
Sure. Yeah.
And wholesalers can be in survival mode too.
Hell yeah.
It's just a different type of survival mode.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's all the same thing, right? If you're worried about your bills, you're gonna make decisions sometimes that
you wouldn't make if your head was on straight.
If you had enough capital to not be in that mode, real estate or not,
Yeah.
right? Let's just talk money.
Yep.
That's how it goes, right? As soon as you're not worried about that stuff anymore, you start thinking differently. You start moving differently.
Moving differently.
Yeah.
So, man, that was a good one. That was a good one. So you said you're doing flips. It seemed like you had a pain point. I'm gonna really dig into it.
Yeah, no worries.
What was your pain point from doing a flip this last year?
Well, like, for us, the flip game is relatively new, and being in San Diego or just California, and granted, it's not a crutch, all right. But damn, there's a lot more money, man. You want to do a flip in the Midwest, and you got a couple $100,000, you're solid, right? We're talking about putting over $200,000 just in remodel in this property we have right now. Right, that's just for the remodel.
Yeah.
It doesn't include all the hard money costs and what it costs to actually obtain the house. So and then time keeps flying by. You might hire the wrong contractor, right? And then you start finding things, right? And you start having to redo them. And you start going the path, okay, man, are we really going into this, possible litigation? It's like stuff like that. It's like, hey, you could be walking down that path, right? Now, with the flip game in general, it's a fine line between you being able to hire somebody and just get that remodel done and show up. Hey, it's done. This is great. Let's sell this, right? Which you should never do, obviously. But that trust you put in those people can be a little too much.
Misplaced.
Yeah, yeah. Especially when you're I look at Sammy, my company, as a tornado, right? This tornado's constantly flying.
Yep.
Dude. This is business, right? You're constantly chasing and running around, and then that tornado's picking things up, along the way, and you're having to nope, go back down, nope, go back down, right? And it's not easy to juggle all those balls. Like you guys all know this. And you run different departments, you start delegating different work, between your partners, and maybe that's not your responsibility, but now you're having to hop in there,
Yeah.
and vice versa, right? And you're just like, oh my God, anyways, I'm rambling now, but the flip wise, we did learn a lot in the sense of who you can trust, what the work schedule should look like, how that monitoring should be, right? What progress reports should you be getting, and how should you be getting them, right? What type of contracts that you should be signing versus you should be signing when you're doing a flip, right? Is it cost plus contract or not, right? And that's stuff you need to pay attention to because you can really, really get yourself in a bad spot.
A lot of people underestimate the time value money. So if you're doing a $500,000 flip, you're doing 12 points. That's $5,000 a month.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's $5,000 a month.
It's a lot.
It's gonna add up.
A lot of people are lending money at a good spots right now. So yeah, I don't want to say knock on wood, but we were able to get low points and low percentage. So that was cool.
Yeah.
That's a plus side, but still, yeah, it's cost money, dude. The longer you go, you borrow money. You have to pay for it.
It's gonna hurt more. It's gonna hurt
You
more.
have to. It's gonna hurt. Yeah. So we're figuring all that stuff out, and you can look at it two different ways, right? You're either that guy. It's half. It's another stereotypical saying. Is it half full or half empty, dude? Right? And we've learned so much on this type of project, like this type of flip. Even veterans, veteran flippers would be like, oh wow, okay, yeah, that's a lot, right? We've learned a lot, and honestly, you fool me once, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what that is.
So you mentioned you're going into the commercial space. What type of commercial are you going to?
So not sure yet. I really would love to dabble in medical.
Okay.
So we have a couple good buddies out in the East that are messing around with that. And the thing is that there's so many different types of commercial properties out there. I would love to slide into medical, but then we also know that we do want to dabble in in bigger apartment buildings and stuff like that as well. Nothing set in stone yet. That's part of our goal planning that we need to get more specific on. But we're starting to utilize our markets for what they're strong for, right? So like, for instance, here in Cali, and this is how we do it, all right? Everybody's got their own
Everybody does it
flavor, their
different.
own recipes.
And that's the beauty of the conversation. You can go in any direction.
Exactly, right? So in Cali, we'll do flips. If we get lucky, we'll take down something creatively, do an Airbnb. No long-term rentals here. And then, Midwest, we'll have specific states that we'll use that are just for buy and holds. And that'll be the buy and hold state. And then we're breaking into another market now that's probably going to be, well, don't get it wrong. We'll do whatever we can in every single state.
Yeah.
But if the numbers work, right?
Numbers work.
But the overall idea of it is that this place is for flips and Airbnbs. This place is more for buy and holds. This place is going to be for our commercial sector. Because once you start dabbling in the commercial sector, I don't know. I got a lot of buddies that just tell me, they're like, I don't do single family anymore. And don't get it wrong, we're open-minded. Sammy is open-minded.
Yeah.
Whatever we need to do, we'll do if the numbers work.
Yep.
But if we can, if you can put in an equal amount of work and then, see a 20-fold, type of
Payday.
return, what the heck,
So we're positioning ourselves into we're trying to do larger deals. So we focus on large land ranches in Texas, but we're trying to pivot out into other states because we do have the hive mind and the community.
Yeah.
And but we're also doing triple net leases. We're trying to get into that space as well.
Okay.
on the other side.
For sure.
So
Yeah.
we're trying to do bigger deals. That's the bigger thing. If this process is the same for every deal, why do small deals all the time?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if the numbers work, the numbers work. It doesn't matter if it's a $5 million home or if it's a $10 million equestrian ranch, right? If the numbers work, they work, and that's where we're at. Like, hey, man, if it's all good, we'll shoot for it.
Yeah.
You know?
It's the path of real estate investors. It can go any direction. It's the beauty of it.
Yeah, yeah, totally, man. And you can do so many more things and get creative with it. I mean, yeah, you can get creative on anything.
That's the power of learning the creative strategy. So I recommend everybody learn creative real estate because you can take that through every type of real estate. And if you can be creative in commercial and multi-units and industrial, triple nets, you can be creative in a lot of different ways. If you learn that creative side of it, you can create opportunity anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. You can create your own set of terms.
Yep.
Not just for real estate either.
Yep.
For a lot of different types of business. I know people that are subtuing cars.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
finance cars.
I just got back from Atlanta and I talked to a developer, probably been developing for 40 years. He's a land guy, straight land guy. So he comes into the deals and he was talking about negotiating his way into restaurants, where now he's getting equity of the restaurant just by being the land guy.
Cool, man. the McDonald's approach.
But like it's
Taking the land, huh?
It's interesting, but like where he actually lived, he bought 1,200 acres, 200-acre lake, built like 70 homes around it, and then now he's getting older. He's like, I'm a little busy now, so I kind of sold off a lot of the extra parcels and let another developer go to town.
Sure, why not?
But he's like, yeah, I just bought 1,200 acres. I'm like,
Yeah.
who's this guy?
Yeah, man. And what about, you know what? Are you guys dabbling in any kind of like, because you deal with, I mean, I think you probably deal with more land than we do.
We do a lot of land.
Do you guys ever do anything in the solar sector?
It's come across, the solar sector generally is looking for 100 acres or more. So it's kind of, and they want to be within a certain range of a large city. That way they can push that power to a large city base without actually building out the infrastructure for it. So I've come across it maybe 5 times or so, but we know there's people looking for it. So.
I'm in the middle of, I've been trying to build a solar farm in New Mexico for over a year and a half. Yeah, so we have 500 acres total.
Okay.
160 acre parcel, a 300 parcel, and then whatever the rest is made up of another parcel. And the 160 parcel is more likely to become a solar farm.
Okay.
There's a solar farm like 15 minutes north already. But we're trying to broker that out now. The problem is, it's finding the right broker, right? These guys, you start looking into the deals more. It's not as easy just to hey, you guys want to do a solar farm over here? Like, you can't get a hold of anybody, and trying to do the networking in the solar sector is pretty tough. And then you end up just finding a regular broker, right? That
regular broker not might be the right person.
That's not even the right person. And then you try to go direct, like even you talk to the big boys, like First Solar or whoever. Trying to get a hold of somebody that can make a decision is freaking nuts.
It's corporate.
Right? Super, super corporate. But we've been trying to do that for a while because sustainable energy is freaking, it's a no-brainer, right?
Yeah.
And if you have the land, you can do it. But it depends on where it's at.
Yeah.
Right? So like if, this lots of land are in New Mexico, I'd probably say maybe an hour from Las Cruces.
Yep. Right by El Paso.
Yeah, so not too far. So anything that you got in that sector, or anybody, man, let me know if we can make money together. That's how it goes.
I will reach out to my partner because he does a lot of the land real estate. It's not that I'm not in it; he just heads that side of it.
No worries, man. Yeah,
I do the software.
I get it, bro.
But I'm doing land too. Like I'm actually I'm trying to get a billboard lease right now
Really?
on a couple acres that I got.
All right. Okay.
So and then like I've never done this before, so I'm like, what do you do if you don't know? You learn.
Yeah.
So talk to enough people and you'll figure it out.
Yeah, for sure.
So
yeah,
it's interesting, man. I think a lot of people underestimate what's possible even in the realm of real estate. So like right now, like I said, I got a property that I'm trying to do a billboard on it. My partner owns a property that's trying to do a billboard on it. So now I have like 3,000 feet of frontage in Atlanta that I could possibly do at least 1 to 4 billboards on. My partner owns a property in San Antonio that he can put maybe 1 to 2 billboards on it. So, and he has another property that can do another billboard on it. So now we're like, he might be a billboard investor. Who knows?
Yeah, why not? Just do everything, man.
So-
Just do everything.
and now I'm like, if we do at least 4 billboards between the 3-4 properties we have already under contract or own, now we know the game. Like, what's going
Yeah.
to stop us from going into billboards? If anybody has questions about billboards, I might be the guy to look for in the future. You know?
Sure. Yeah, no, big time, dude. Yeah, whatever you can do, man. You know, whatever you can do. I mean, I know a couple guys that just own like parking lots, not like legitimate asphalt, like laid parking lots.
Truck
either.
lots and storage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you just put a fence around that puppy, and that's it. No electricity, no water needed. Maybe electricity, so where you have lights if you want.
Lights.
But other than that, you just put a big barbed wire fence around this area, and they pay rent.
So it's funny you say that. So I'm in the trucking space. Parking is a pain in the butt in most cities. In most cities.
Where are you going to park your rig, you know? A lot of these people, man, like, you know, if you're a truck driver, you know, sometimes you're pulling off of those rest stops, you know, it cannot be safe, dude.
Well, it's not really for them. The people that park locally are the people that live locally
Oh, got it. Yeah, for sure.
because they need somewhere to park and go home.
Yeah.
So that's where it comes in. So anybody that lives within 50 miles of any major city is prime for truck parking because most people that live in the city are trying to find somewhere they can almost commute to work, which is the truck, and then
Yeah.
drive from the truck to wherever they need to go.
Can't parallel park your 18-wheeler, you know,
at your condo or the
in a
apartment.
big city. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
So I met a guy, and this is because I was in that space. I actually started a trucking company. I had to find truck parking in Atlanta because I lived in Atlanta when I was starting my trucking company. And the guy bought 12 acres, and it was like some rundown business, and it just had a big field. So he got the tractors in, cleaned it all up, started dumping gravel, tons and tons of loads of gravel. The fence was already there, kind of fixed whatever holes in the fence that weren't already there. He ended up parking. He said he got it for $250. It's probably been about 5 years ago now, but he got it for $250. Was able to park 100 trucks on it at any given moment and charge $100 a pop a month.
Really? Interesting.
Cash flow.
How do you market to find those people?
Truck
Find the
drivers.
truck drivers.
They will find you if you have the
you have parking.
if you have the opportunity.
They should.
They will find you because most metropolitan areas are struggling for finding at-home truck parking that they
Makes
can
sense.
park and go home.
That makes sense.
And
Yeah.
it's a struggle. It's a struggle.
Yeah.
They're afraid to get towed. They're afraid to, and it's a big issue that a lot of the metropolitan cities are having. So if you find a good property, you might have to have the right zoning and variance with the city. But if you can park there,
I dig it. You know what? I mean, I want to do everything, right? And that's why my biggest thing is if the numbers work, the numbers work. I don't care if it's a lot that we're putting billboards on or we're parking trucks, whatever. I don't care. You know, if the numbers work,
the
I'll
cash
do it.
flows. That's it.
I'll hop in. We'll give it a shot. You know.
It's a different perspective because a lot of people they see opportunity differently, and like for us, if it cash flows, it runs. Let's run it.
If it cash flows, let's give it a shot, right? How much attention do we need to give to this thing? If it's nothing that crazy, and we don't, you know, if the numbers work, dude, I'll try it. Yeah.
So I think the difference is that a lot investors, it's a muscle that we worked and built because we find with our knowledge base we create opportunity.
Sure. Oh yeah.
Whereas most people they struggle to find it. Once you have the knowledge, you can create it out of thin air.
Yeah. Well, it's hard when that tornado's running and you're stuck in that tornado. You're like, you can't see anything. You can't see anything, man. Which way am I going, right? And like, there's people that even with assignments, you get so caught up in assignments, and it's so flustering if you are really doing volume, you know, to keep up.
Yeah.
And you're like, how am I supposed to start 2 other companies or 3 other companies inside of this one company?
So side note, one of my users is actually in Grant Cardone's whole thing over there. So I heard through the grapevine, he told them they're trying to do only 5 deals in 2022.
Oh, that's cool. or how big are those deals?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's different perspective. So once you open your mind to the thought process, okay, like somebody that level is only trying to do 5 deals. How many deals is he going to underwrite? And he's buying one every month and a half.
Oh yeah, which
That
is why
mean-
the commercial thing is huge, right? Which is why I have a lot of buddies that are just like, I'm not doing single family anymore. They're not doing it, and I'm like, well, you know, I can see up both sides of the ball, right? But that's exactly why.
The evolution of the investor to do bigger deals.
Yeah, this guy's like, I'm doing 2 deals a year, and then I go on vacation for 6 months. I'm like, interesting. If that's how you want to live your life, rock on, right? He's doing it.
I want that perspective.
Yeah, big time, man, big time. And then it's like, you know, and then I had a conversation with my wife this morning, and I was like, you know, I'm so busy all the time right now. And it's like, you know, you get to that point where it's like, man, I'm just busy all the time. If I wasn't this busy, like, don't get it wrong, I have hobbies, right? Like, I'm an artist, you know, I like to paint, I like to draw, I like to do all kinds of stuff. I can keep myself busy, but I think I would get fucking bored. You know, I think at this point in time, I'm so used to like not having time, to where if I did have all that time, I'm like, man, this would be, don't get it wrong, it'd be nice, but I think I'd probably get bored.
I think, and I think it's a growing point in your business is that now you realize, hey, maybe I need to step back, prioritize, organize. That way I do have some free time to kind of spend to.
Absolutely, we're always adjusting. The thing is that I'm trying to buy time to do something else, right? I'm trying to buy and get rid of this responsibility before I start the new project.
Yep.
Right, because we have different phases in Sammy, right? And we haven't even entered some of the most important phases for our company, right? So single family, commercial, whatever it may be in that sector, in those sectors, you know, those are just one piece of the puzzle. That doesn't even touch base on our international phase, right? And
Yep.
where we're going with that, and wanting to own properties in every country that we want to be in or just go visit.
Yep.
Right? You have an Airbnb in Costa Rica, Mexico, the Netherlands. Like these are phases, right? So that doesn't touch the international phase,
Yeah.
right? And that doesn't touch, you know, kind of what this company could be. You know, is it just going to be a real estate investment company, right? Or what does this turn into? And it's an open-minded, it's an open-ended like a company, my friend. So we're just starting.
Yeah.
Right. So if we're talking about, you know, just basic outbound marketing, right? What's everybody doing? What are the usuals, right?
Yeah.
Cold calling, texting. People are still doing bandit signs in San Diego,
Yeah.
right? I don't know just where I live. Bandit signs, SEO, PPC, direct mail, right? You know, all of these things, door knocking, right? I don't know if I ever said that. Anyways, all these are phases and different outlets that you can't ignore. Right? You find what recipe works for you and you start attacking it. So as soon as, you know, the cold calling, the SMS, and whatever I can do on HiveMind, which is way more than those 2 departments, as soon as those things are built out, it gives me time to move on to the next. I should be also helping build relationships.
Yeah.
Right? So like, but I don't have time right now just to go have lunch with a bunch of probate attorneys. Right? Or go to different offices and, you know, I got a bunch of buddies in the sector, right?
Yeah.
And if I had these many lunches or this many dinners or this many events,
Those are valuable.
right, I know, but when do you find time to do them if you're still doing what we're doing? So that's where, you know, once again, right? And I think a lot of people can relate to this that are in, you know, the same type of position that I'm in.
Yeah.
Is, you know, I don't think you should ever stop growing, but like right now we're at this point in our company where it's like we need to dial this stuff in so we can buy our time back. Because right now, if I sit down in the morning time at 5 in the morning, I call East Coast time, right? So if I sit down at 5 in the morning, I have a bunch of follow-up calls. I mean, I'm not done until the nighttime, until it's
Man.
like, hey, you cannot make phone calls at that late anymore, right? They can happen every single day. Then that's all I'm doing. That's not okay, you know?
So one of the things I love about this is because this is me working. I've automated. I have people in place to operate. They start before I wake up.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly.
And business is being done whether I contribute to it or not.
Exactly.
And that's the beauty. And I hope you get there sooner than later.
It's not a matter of if.
When?
It's a matter of when.
When.
It's a matter of fucking when.
a
Because
matter
it
of
needs to happen. It needs to happen yesterday. But you know, either way, right? That's the whole point. Is that I feel like I have a group of my peers. We're in that same spot, where it's like, man, it's not luck. We've done this. We know how to do it. We know.
It's not hard work either because you're doing that too.
I mean, it's just time consuming.
Yeah.
Right. But we know how to do it. It's not luck. And once you get to that point, you're like, oh man, this can be done.
Yeah.
Now you're in a race to dive in those systems and make sure you have everything aligned to where it runs smoothly. You're working on your business, not in your business too much, right?
That's it.
That's where we need to be, right? And where we're learning to be. So
That's it. One of the things that I love that you said about property in other countries and other states, that's something we're working towards. We're trying to hopefully get a list of properties nationwide and across the U.S. that, hey, you get a week vacation in one of our Airbnbs, just pick which one.
sure.
And it'd be some type of utility that we can build into our program.
Oh yeah, multiple reasons, right? Even just for personal reasons. Like for instance, I have to go to Indiana for my daughter's volleyball tournament.
Yep.
Right? Where are we staying? In my Airbnb.
I want to own that property.
Yeah, we're staying in my Airbnb, right? So you get to a point where you're recycling your own money, right? Because if I pay money to stay in my Airbnb, where's that money going?
Back in my pocket.
Beep, right? So
It's a tax expense.
oh, dude, it is. But anyways, yeah. Like I'm super pumped about the international phase because this world is too big.
Too big. See, a lot of people aren't even thinking it's that level. I think we'll have to cover that on another call.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's drawn out, but we're waiting to get there, right? Obviously, this game has to be played before we can level up, right? Don't get it wrong, you can throw as much crap on your plate as you want, but for right now, we have our goals set, and we need to hit those before we move on to other projects. So.
Importance of follow through.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, and me and my business partner, we're in it, man. There's really there's a one-way ticket. There's no return anymore. The plane's already left, right? The train's already gone. We're already on it. Right? You can't just jump. You can't jump off. You're on it, man. Right?
We're gonna get there eventually.
Yeah, well, this is the ride, right? And this is it. This is, you know what, man? For us, I think a big thing is too is like, as hectic as it can be, as nuts as all this is, if you can't learn to enjoy the ride right now,
Yep.
it's going to be tough.
It's gonna get worse.
Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to do, man. I'm trying to enjoy my time, and then the whole work-life balance thing, right? Does it exist? Does it not exist? I don't think it. I think it exists to a certain extent, right? I got to have time for my family, make sure that everyone's cool.
Yep.
Give them that R&R. I have to do that.
Have to.
And then everything outside of that is like, there's not really, I work until Claudia tells me to stop. Like, hey, it's time. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, it's time. But usually it happens around 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, right?
So, what is a quote that's either yours or somebody else's that you resonate with?
Oh man, that's a good one.
It is a good
That's
one.
That's a good one. I think one of the quotes I've been using a lot lately is like, and people are gonna make fun of me. One quote that I've been using lately is, "Are you flash frying? Or are you crock potting? You flash frying or crock potting?"
There you go.
Right? Are you looking for fast money? You looking for slow money, or where are you in between? What are you right now?
What are you right now?
Yeah, what are you? Are you a flash fryer? Or one of my buddies is like, well, I want to be an air fryer. I'm like, okay, dude. But what are you? What is your business right now?
Yeah.
As soon as you can answer that, you can get some guidance on where you need to go and what you want to be, right? And then if the numbers work, the numbers work.
What has been the most important book that you've read that's accelerated you to another level?
Principles from Ray Dalio.
There you go. Principles of Ray Dalio.
Yeah, Ray Dalio Principles. That's a great one. And then You Can't Teach a Kid to Ride a Bike at a Seminar. I don't know if you've heard of that one yet. That's floating around a lot in our
I haven't heard
real
of it.
estate sector. That's a good one. That's a great one. That's a good sales book. But currently, like right now, Principles, Ray Dalio. That's a great one.
Okay.
Great one.
I struggle with reading, so I'm trying to pick some new books.
I tell people all this all the time, right? Here's one book that I've been telling people about for years. Nothing new. I mean, this is not a new book. I'm not the one. You probably heard it all over the place. But How to Win Friends and Influence People, right? Not only is it a great book because it's a great book, it's a book of situations, right? And if you're a horrible reader like I am,
Yep.
I'm not a great reader either. If you can make it through that book, my friend, you can make it through any book. For damn sure. But that one's a good one to start at to teach you discipline on reading because it's boring as hell sometimes, bro. But the meaning behind it is what projects that book. Yeah.
All right. Well, where can people find you online? What's your social media?
Yeah. Sammy REI LLC. Sammy REI on Facebook or Instagram, either way. My Instagram personal handle is SAREI. Steve Anderson, Real Estate Investing. Same thing with Facebook, Steve Anderson in San Diego. You'll find me. But Sammy REI is the name of the company. You can find me at.
Are you looking for deals you're looking everywhere, right?
Not everywhere. Right now, I'd say fix and flips, and then anything that's anything short sale or creative that we can do.
That's LA, Riverside County, right?
Yeah, anywhere Southern California, LA and down. Indiana, always looking for buy and holds, and we are in a lot of neighborhoods in Indiana, in Indy. Florida, Central Florida mostly, and then also in Louisville, Kentucky.
There you go.
Yeah. So we're always looking for something. And also it's like, dude, even just the chat real estate. I tell people this all the time. You don't have to be, bringing me deals. I don't have to be bringing anyone deals. Dude, we're at a point right now to where we just like talking about this stuff because the more you talk it out, right, the more you figure stuff out. So, I feel like we are at a place that a million the real estate investors are at currently, right? So we all start talking and linking up and shooting ideas out together, we get stronger.
You become a better student by becoming a good teacher.
Oh, shit, I like that. Yeah, so whatever, man, everybody wants to talk, whatever. Give me a holler. You don't have to be just bringing deals.
Well, man, I appreciate you coming out. This has been a great conversation, man. I hope you got some value from me.
Oh, yeah, always. Always. And like, that's why I was super excited just to get up here and talk a little bit, even though I know, it might not have been, the itinerary might not have been like, completely structured. So I hope that people got some kind of value out of what we talked about at least. But I was pumped just to come talk to you, man. I can't shut up, I talk too much. So.
You got the bug.
I got the bug. But yeah.
You got the hive. You've been affected.
I'm in the hive every day now. Every day. But yeah, I really appreciate it, man. And like I said, anybody wants to reach out just to talk even, we do this every day.
Every day.
Starts at 5 in the morning, ends at about 8:30 at night, 8 o'clock at night.
It's a lifestyle.
Pacific time.
It's a lifestyle.
PST.
Well, we appreciate you coming out. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Please reach out to them if you have any questions. That's it for this one.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
It's the hive, baby.